What's up guys, it's Nav here. So after doing a few weeks of grinding skills, I was looking to get back into bossing and decided to try my luck at Gregorovic, the Sliske boss in God Wars Dungeon 2, and the only God Wars Dungeon 2 boss I haven't attempted to farm yet. So first up, I needed to max out my Sliske reputation for the reduced kill count and the increased drop chances. And as usual, I haven't bothered to do any daily bounties to get my rep up over time. So first up, I did do the 6 bounties available, which took me around an hour, and it gave me about 1/5 of the reputation I needed. So for the remaining reputation, I did have ingression fragments, which I always make sure to loot when doing bounties, and seals from when I recently camped Helwia. And with that, I got a lot more reputation than I was expecting and had my Sliske reputation completely maxed out and was ready to attempt Greg. So I've never attempted Gregorovic before and was pretty put off by how difficult the boss seemed on paper, which is certainly the reason why I've left this boss till last out of all of them in God Wars Dungeon 2, and also why I waited to have a pack yak first. Considering in the past, I've never even bothered using Beasts of Burden in God Wars Dungeon 2, since I don't have the patience to farm War Tortoise shells. But to my surprise, my initial experience with this boss was actually pretty good. No doubt there's a lot of room I have for improvement, but in my mind the boss is a lot less punishing in comparison to ones such as Helwia and even Vindicta to some extent, as really most of his damage is just auto attacks, which, although uses a lot of your food, isn't really lethal, and with that first kill I even managed an essence, which are surprisingly valuable in comparison to all the other essences, and therefore it actually procs a loot beam as well, which is actually unfortunate for me, as I still see these as pretty useless, and just gets me triggered when I see the loot beam and realise it's not an actual drop, and as usual I'm not going to show off any more of the essence drops. So getting into the real drops, on the same instance I did manage another loot beam, which was the offhand Shadow Glaive drop. So these are tier 85 ranged weapons, which I really wanted, with my current best ranged weapons only being Armadillo crossbows and the Sun Spear, so this was definitely a great start. Next drop, actually not a beam and not really anything exciting, but it was a dormant Anima Core helm, which is relevant for me because unlike the chests and legs, I have none of these currently, and it does mean if I do manage to get 3 crests of Sliske, I can make a full tier 85 hybrid set. So moving on to the next drop, 4 instances in, and I do manage a loot beam, and what would you know, it was another offhand Shadow Glaive. So obviously getting duplicates this early on is pretty lame, but it's kind of expected eventually, so at any rate, at least I'll have some spares to dismantle for shadow components. And what would you know, next kill another loot beam. Pretty crazy to get back-to-back drops, so obviously I was excited, and then after further inspection, yes, another offhand Shadow Glaive drop. So at this point I thought it was worth looking into what shadow components given from the Sliske weapons and armor gave, considering when I got dupes at Helwia I found out the planted feet perk was actually pretty good. So I don't know, this sounds pretty useless to me, maybe being decent for a few niche situations when doing Slayer, but definitely doesn't seem like anything worth getting excited over. But nevertheless, getting back-to-back loot beams was something, and I did press on, and by the 6th instance I did manage another drop. So that was actually it for all of the interesting drops over the 10 instances of Gregorovic. So as usual with the God Wars 2 bosses, they are high level material pinatas, with plenty of everything, especially alchable items, with over 7 million in high alch value split between the battle staves and rune items. And then there's the rare unique drops. Not much to really say, technically 10 uniques over 10 hours isn't even unlucky, so it's hard to complain, but yeah, offhand glaives. And also now in max reputation with all of the God Wars Dungeon 2 factions, the seals to my knowledge are actually useless now, which is a shame as collecting those always felt pretty good as well. But that's pretty much it for this one. I do have tons of supplies, so I will continue camping Greg until I can get his main hand glaive at least, and if I can get a few crests for hybrid gear, or even the pet, I would be pretty happy. But that's it for me. If you know of any uses for these seals after maxing all of the reputations, definitely let me know in the comments, or even if these shadow components do have some uses somewhere. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.